This is the Brain Over Belly podcast, solving the puzzle of obesity with Dr. David Brown of Idaho BMI. When you commit to having bariatric surgery, it's common to have all sorts of hopes and expectations for what the future will hold. Today, we check back in with Mona, who's now 1 year past her bariatric surgery, to hear if the reality of her journey has lived up to the hype. Dr. Brown is also on hand to troubleshoot some of the challenges Mona has encountered along the way. Here's your host, Rick Dunn.
We're back. Here we go again. Today's a special day because it's not just me and Dr. Brown, but we have Mona. It's good to see you again. Hello.
Hello. It's good to be seen.
So it's been over a year now since Mona had her surgery. And today's going to be kind of checking in on you, and I don't want you to hold back at all. Dr. Brown says, fire away. Good, bad, anywhere in between. You say whatever you want. I didn't know, Dr. Brown, if you wanted to start things off with a question for Mona, or if we just want to let her get right into it. Look at the devious look in his eyes.
I'm scared. Well, it was a good experience up to this point.
Oh, we're coming after you.
No, I'm just thinking about what we talk about in clinic, what I ask. So, how are you feeling?
I feel fantastic. I am loving life.
Glad you did it?
Absolutely. Best choice I've ever made.
If we go back, Mona, to like before you had the surgery, let's just remind people, what was your life like? What led to having the surgery? And then I'd really like to hear about what this past year has been like for you.
Well, what led me to the surgery was I was having difficulty losing weight, and I had heart issues. I had AFib, which is a irregular heartbeat, for those who don't know. And I went through procedures to correct that, and the medication that they put me on seemed to keep adding weight. And that was something I couldn't cope with. And to the point where I was hiding in my house. And it sounded like fun to go to family gatherings or go out and meet friends for dinner and drinks. But having to fight my clothes to get out of the house wasn't worth it to me. So I would cancel and just stay home. And that's pretty much what my life was. I was hiding. And with COVID came, that was a great excuse not to have to go and do anything because of COVID. And it worked well for me and to hide as my weight
things got
worse and worse. Yeah.
Through COVID, they started just getting worse and worse because you started making excuses and you just didn't have to put in the work or do whatever you thought was necessary to move in the right direction. Correct.
And scared to go outside of my house. So, and so it all played into hiding my weight. So because I was embarrassed and I didn't know how to be a heavy person, how to be a fat person. I didn't know how to do that, and I couldn't cope. I just could not cope.
So you sat down with Dr. Brown.
Yes.
And what was it that made you say, "This is it. This is what we're going to do"?
First of all, that it wasn't necessarily all my fault that I was fat. And I think that's a big thing is when you're heavy, you take on a lot of demons that you're lazy and you're weak. And if you just quit eating and exercise, that the weight would come off. Well, I tried every diet under the sun and the weight never came off. Maybe 10 pounds, but then it would come right back on, if not, 15 or 20. So it's not necessarily you're not doing the right things. It's not like I'm sitting home on the sofa eating ice cream and bonbons. I'm watching what I eat, and I am trying to exercise. And especially with my heart, I want my heart to be healthy and strong too. I want to stick around for my family and my grandbabies, but it's hard. It's just hard.
When people come and sit down with you, Dr. Brown, for the first time, do you find that conversation is always pretty similar, or is it really different with these people that come in and say, I know we're all different people.
Yeah, there are.
But it seems like you knew exactly what to say to Mona. They were the right things, and it got her on the right path.
Well, I think society in general and the medical community does treat people the same, and that's neither good nor bad, but we view the problem of being overweight maybe in a very particular way. And so it's very common, I would say, just about all of the patients I see are coming in with this background of having been told certain things and believing certain things about themselves. So, yes, there are very common threads or themes in that conversation, and people are almost always shocked just to hear a different perspective on what's really driving the problem.
Yeah.
I think it's refreshing because it one is different, and it suggests, well, maybe it's not really all their fault, and maybe there are answers to the problem.
So it's easy for all of us on the outside looking in. You listen to the podcast or you go through research. It's easy to sit back and you look at somebody like Mona, who started at, I don't remember what your weight was when you started, Mona.
A lot.
It was a lot. Okay. It was a lot.
Yes.
Anyways, it's easy for us to go like, oh, she lost 40 pounds. I can't remember. How much have you lost now? Do you know that?
55 pounds.
55 pounds. That is a lot of weight in 1 year. And you go, okay, this worked. This is a good journey. Maybe she's not where she wants to be yet, or maybe she is. But I would imagine there are a lot of ups and downs. I would love to hear what some of those are.
I guess there are a lot of ups and downs. Like right after, what I remember right after the surgery is not necessarily, I guess I expected like my stomach to hurt more, but what hurt was my shoulders. And I guess that's from being pumped up, for lack of a better term, so they can do what they need to do in the operations. And then your body's trying to get rid of all that.
Yeah, it's carbon dioxide we use to inflate the abdomen.
And that it was painful. That was probably the most painful thing for me. Yeah. And I had a lot of ups and downs. You know, Efren and some of the other guests that you've had on have explained it very well. How sometimes you lose weight and you either go up or you go down, or you just kind of hang out there, and then you may lose a little more, and then you just kind of hang out there. Sometimes you go up, sometimes you go down, and I guess you just have to ride the cycle, because it's not always, you're not losing a pound every day.
Right.
And that was tough for me, because I wanted a quick fix like everybody else.
Well, and that's what we've been taught all of our lives, is the number on the scale is the ultimate measure of success. And so what I really try to get people to do is focus on habits, the tasks every day, focusing primarily on that. And my definition of success is mastering those habits and being super consistent at them. Because in my experience, a person does that, everything else falls into place. Whereas if you're focusing on a number on a scale, say that's really good, it's encouraging, you feel awesome, that can be a trap as well as in the other direction. It's not going down as quickly or as consistently as you want. That can be a trap psychologically also.
I have to agree with that, because that's a game I played my entire life with my weight. But what I have noticed is how my clothes fit, and what clothes I haven't probably been able to wear for 5 years I can put on now. And it's exciting to things like, I have a whole new section of my closet I can wear. So it's things like that, noticing how your shoes fit, or how your pants fit, your shirt fits. It's exciting when you can get into those smaller clothes.
And I know you've talked about like your grandkids are big for you. You want to be able to play with your grandkids.
Yes.
You babysit them a little bit, right? And,
yes, I get to hang out with them a lot.
And those little buggers can move.
Yes,
I've got some of my own.
Yes, they are now they are 6 and 5.5, or 4.5 and 6, and Koa's going to be 5. He's reminding me every day. But and they are fast, and they are fun, and they want to go, and they don't realize. Before, I couldn't do things with them. I could barely get down on the floor, and if I got down on the floor, I had to have a plan to get off the floor, because it was difficult, to say the least. But now I can get down and play. I can run around on my knees with them and play with their cars and on the racetracks, and we can run around the block, and now I look forward to doing everything with them. I took him tubing, which a year ago I would have never done that. I would have never even suggested it.
Were you on the tubes too? Did you? Oh, you did. You went for it too.
Yes, it was so much fun. We had a blast.
Oh.
So that's what's exciting, is I'm getting out and doing things, and I'm getting out of my house, and happy to meet the world.
What are some of the struggles you've been going through? What's some of the hard stuff? You've
Well,
been doing this for a year now.
Yeah, I've had some hard personal things. I've gone through my father dying, and my sister-in-law died a horrible death, and those were haunting experiences for me. But thanks to Dr. Brown, what got me through them was moment by moment and doing my mindful breathing and sipping my water and getting to the next moment. And those tricks, I guess I could call them tricks, habits would be more correct, that got me to be able to handle those difficult situations.
That's one of the things that I love about what you do, Dr. Brown, is it's not just training people or reprogramming the brain, I guess is how you word it a lot, but it's not just about weight. It's a lifestyle.
Right, everything's connected.
And that's what I'm seeing in Mona. It's not perfect. We're not. Are you where you want to be, or what are your goals, Mona?
Well, no, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm happy where I'm at the moment. I'm looking forward to being less. I have some issues, like with blood sugar, and that I'm looking at to, I guess, lowering, and that will help me lose weight. I think that's why it's been slow, is because I've been pre-diabetic, and with my heart issues and all the medication I'm on, I think that's what has caused my weight loss to be slower than I would like. But slow and steady wins the race.
You troubleshooting? Or trying to troubleshoot some things? Okay, so blood sugars. There are a couple of things, everybody is different, and one of the primary reasons I really believe in long-term follow-up is the opportunity to troubleshoot. Everybody's different, and everybody's bodies are different, and it's important to try different things and experiment and apply research as much as we can in ways to help people achieve those goals and really get to an optimum health. So blood sugars, if you're okay, I would look at a couple of variables or different things that we can try. You mentioned water. Mm-hmm. How's that going? We always talk about 2 liters or 64 ounces of water. You're doing at least that?
At least that every day. And since my visit a couple of months ago, I have taken to measuring my water more seriously.
So you're not cheating yourself then, right?
To make sure, because that's why I was thinking maybe I'm not drinking as much water as I think I am.
And were you right in what you were estimating?
Yes.
Okay. The next thing I usually think about is narrowing that window of time in the day that we eat. And, for a lot of people, that target is eating once a day without any snacking or anything outside of that. So that's one thing I would suggest experimenting with, is really trying to narrow that window even to the point of eating once a day. What's your experience with that?
With eating? I like it.
Me too. Wow, we have that in common.
But it's funny that the things I do like to eat, but I maybe eat come, say, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I will have like a celery stick with peanut butter on it, and then I will have a dinner, say, 6 o'clock.
Okay. Have you noticed that certain foods that you used to have, you don't have to have now, or has taste changed for you?
Absolutely. Absolutely, taste has changed. As we talked about, I think one of my first episodes was after my surgery, when I finally got to eat food, how excited I was to eat this walnut chicken salad, because I loved it. And so that was my first meal, was to have my favorite food, and it was awful. I absolutely hated it.
How so?
I hated it. It just, nothing tasted the same. The texture, it just wasn't good anymore. It was like, that's what Dr. Brown said.
Was that disappointing?
Yes.
It is and it isn't.
Exactly.
There's a plus and there's a negative there.
Because I'm thinking it's healthy. It's a salad and, chicken. So those were good choices. Nuts, that's a good source of proteins. But, it was awful. Individually, those things I can eat, but I can't eat them all together.
How about meat?
Interesting.
Meat's gone well for me. I eat a variety, like, steak and hamburger, chicken, pork chops. I eat a lot of different meats. So.
Do you do the chewing exercises and
Absolutely.
I know you do the breathing.
That is
you
probably
do.
one of the biggest changes in my diet is putting the fork down between bites, counting how many times you're chewing, and waiting the 2 minutes before I take another bite.
So you time it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You got like a stopwatch.
When I first
there.
started, I had, those little timers, the sand timers, like the timeout chairs.
Thought about buying those.
That's what I've had, and I would have that at my table to time between my bites. So, Rick and I live by 30 seconds, 60 seconds being on the radio.
So it's sort of built in, right?
So,
it is.
So I had that too.
You could put logos on those, You
Right.
Oh my gosh! Are you chewing?
Right. Well, so in addition to narrowing that window of time in the day that we're eating, I also encourage people, again, as they are pursuing sort of reaching their goals, is to increase nutrient density of the foods. In other words, simplify. Take anything out of the diet, or try to take things out of the diet that take up space but don't deliver nutrients. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
So with what you just said, I would say celery.
Yep.
In other words, it's not delivering much, but your stomach is very small. It's going to take up space. And believe it or not, that type of thing is related to the goals that it sounds like you're pursuing.
Right. I think the reason I like is because it's like having water that crunches your celery. You're right. I don't think it has a whole lot of value, but it gives me a crunch.
Got it.
I think sometimes I have to have that.
What'd you say? It's like drinking water, but it's the food
chewing.
version of
Chewing
water.
your water.
I've never heard that before.
Celery's just water you chew.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Dr. Brown?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
He doesn't have all the answers.
He doesn't eat celery.
He's got most of them.
Yeah.
So you mentioned blood sugars and wanting to lower them.
Yes.
So there are, of course, a lot of different things that go into that. And we had briefly talked about salt. And what's your general approach with salt?
Right now, I don't use salt. It's just, I don't extra salt. Like, I don't salt my food when it comes to the table. I pretty much try to stay away from salt.
Got it. It's something to experiment with, because there are good studies that show that if a person is deficient in salt, meaning sodium primarily, that can promote insulin resistance, which of course is going to be the primary driver for elevated blood sugars. So something to experiment with is different amounts of salt. I know that's controversial.
I've never heard that. I've never heard that. And when was it? Probably back in 2005. I was told I was insulin resistant, and never did they say salt.
Yeah. Super important.
A certain amount of salt can be good for you.
Yes.
It's like fat, right?
Yes, and of course you have to talk to your doctor about it, but I think it's worth experimenting with.
You are my doctor. I am talking with you about it.
Oh, I forgot.
So, you got to think about why you're avoiding salt and the recommendations surrounding that and other health conditions. But, outside of very specific heart conditions, I would encourage you to experiment a little bit with that. Do you check your blood sugars?
No.
It's just in the labs that come up.
Correct.
You've been told that that's high. Okay.
Right.
So something to try is adding more salt, increasing sort of the nutrient density, and
I'm
really
picturing myself with one of those big salt things that cattle lick. Here I
used to
am
lick
licking
those
that.
when I was a kid.
Gross.
Yeah.
That is bad.
Nobody recommends that.
I don't think we need to go that far.
No.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay. I'll reel it in.
Yes, please.
How's sleep?
Since the last time we visited, it has been improving. It was bad there for a few months.
Did that relate in time to those stressors with the loss of your sister and your dad?
Yes, it did. But I took a step back from that and decided to focus more on my sleep hygiene and what I needed to do to get a good night's rest, and try to check that stuff at the door so I'm not thinking about it all night. And it has worked for me.
Good. So your sleep now is good.
Yep.
How much sleep do you get a night?
I do close to 8 hours every night.
That's awesome. That's great. It used to be that the thinking was, well, everybody's different. Some people do great with 4 or 5 hours of sleep. Other people need 8. I think the most recent and the best research suggests pretty much everybody really needs closer to 8 hours of sleep a night to be healthy from a metabolic standpoint and brain function and all those things. So I'm glad. That's great.
Yeah, and thank you, Dr. Brown. Your habits that you have taught me have really helped me get through some difficult times, and they've brought me good times as well.
So you've had a year now.
I have.
There's people that are looking into doing this. There's people that are thinking about it, and now they can hear from somebody that has gone through the journey for a year. That's a long time. How happy are you right now? Where are you at exactly? Where do you want to be? What have you got, Mona?
Well,
shoot it.
Yeah,
go for it.
You know, I am very happy, and I have a positive outlook on life, which I think I became like a negative Nelly before I had my operation, because I was just so negative about myself and my appearance.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to get out of my house. And thanks to Dr. Brown and going through my surgery, I feel like I've become a new person, or maybe I've become the one I was always meant to be.
It's interesting that
I'm very happy.
Yeah, as you're going through this journey, we don't think about, a lot of people think about, like, okay, she's done this for a year, but you don't think about how life happens. And so you've had some very traumatic things happen in your life, where some people might grab a bottle of booze or go into a depression for however long. And it's interesting that you use these techniques to help push yourself forward. And it wasn't perfect, sounds like.
No, it wasn't perfect. But, you know, that's funny you say that, because dealing with my family definitely makes me want to drink.
Yeah.
But what I've heard after surgery is that, you know, just take a step back and do my breathing and drink my water, and, you know, it's going to be okay. That's kind of become my motto is, you know, drink water. You know, you have a headache, well, drink some more water. You think you're hungry, well, drink some more water. Oh, you broke your nail, drink some more water. You stubbed your toe, drink some more water.
And
that's just become my motto, to get enough water down every day.
Simple things.
Yeah.
Well.
And, you know, if it doesn't work, okay, then I guess I'm really hungry, so I'll fix something to eat. Yeah, that's my motto. Drink more water.
We're really proud of you. Closing thoughts from you, Mona, and then we'll have Dr. Brown just kind of wrap things up for us.
Funny, I wrote it down.
Yes?
Awesome.
That's always good.
Well, you know, here's something I think is important, and that these thoughts have helped me through a lot, is to be stronger than my excuses and to get out and do and be who you want to be. So you need to look back and be grateful. You need to look ahead and be hopeful. Look around and be helpful, and be brave. Be brave. You could be silly, be fun, be different, be crazy. Be you, because life is too short to be anything but happy. And that is something that I definitely have learned this year. And you're never going to change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret to your success is found in your daily routine. So be brave enough to change your daily routine if you want to change your life.
Wow. Is that your mantra now, or is that what would you call the power statement or something like that, Dr. Brown?
Yeah. Personal power statement.
Personal power statement. Is that it for you, Mona?
I guess that's for now. That's it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I come up with a lot of them and things that just ring true with me, especially if you want to change your life. You've got to change your daily habits, whatever you're doing daily. If it's not working for you, you need to change it.
We are our habits, right?
Yes. That's something I learned from Dr. Brown.
You're doing really good. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Rick.
Dr. Brown?
Super proud of you, Mona. I think you're doing awesome. We are all, a work in progress, but you're a hero. You're successful, and my life is so enriched in because of my associations with you and people like you. And I've Sounds cheesy maybe, but I learned so much from these long-term relationships and seeing people in clinic as we troubleshoot and figure things out. I've learned so much from it. So thank you, Mona.
You're welcome. I feel the same about you, Dr. Brown.
Thanks.
Thank you again, Mona, for coming in. I'm sure we're going to have you back in 2 or 3 months, and the success will continue, right?
That's right.
Dr. Brown, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Rick.